We are doing a divine uh, masculine and feminine energy check-in, right? Just check in on the twin flame energy. Let's do masculine, let's do feminine. Masculine energy. Okay. Okay, masculine energy. We've got the Eight of Wands, Seven of Wands in reverse with the Judgment card for the masculine. What about the feminine energy? We're just jumping straight into it, guys. We've got the Moon card in reverse, the Four of Wands in reverse, and the Five of Wands in reverse. And bottom of the deck, the Hierophant in the upright. Okay, let's begin with the Divine Masculine. Now, the Divine Masculine is showing the energy of action, potentially resistance as well, but probably basing it on or depending on the circumstance or situation. So with the Eight of Wands, so this is showing me that the Divine Masculine right now, their energy is looking to be one of contemplation, uh, discernment. There's something about maybe realizing as well how they could have potentially hurt someone. I would say it's the Divine Feminine, but let's see more. There's something about how there's a thinking about this action created this outcome. This action brought upon this hurt. That seems to be some kind of realization. What about the Seven of Wands in reverse? So the masculine right now, there's a clear decision to kind of resist the connection at this time. I think it's an energy of when you're deciding not to do something because of the realization that you have that you might have caused a tower moment, you might have, created that heartbreak. Um, so it's like stepping back because you know that you hurt the other person. That seems to be the energy this divine masculine is carrying at this time. What about the judgment card? I feel like there's an energy of this is the way the masculine sees it. This is how they're choosing to see this, and then this is what they're choosing to do about it. So there's a sense of feeling like this is the right thing to step back because I've hurt this, this queen too much, this feminine too much. Um, there's also seems to be some kind of limitation in what could be offered. I feel like the masculine is thinking all I could really offer was, I don't know, friendship, right? Um, Understanding, even though that would probably have led to something really deeper in the connection. But it's one of those things where they recognize I couldn't have given more than what I presented. So masculine at this time is really about in their head. But I would say in their head in a way where they're coming to certain conclusions of their actions, and then they kind of also explain it with the reason why their actions were what they were. Okay, so that seems to be divine masculine energy. Let's see what is going on in the real world for the divine masculine. What is going on in the real world for the divine masculine? Well, okay, yeah. So in the real world, Mm, there's still a lot of desire for the divine feminine in the real world. When I talk about the real world, the 3D material world, what is going on? That means that the masculine actually very much loves this divine feminine. They very much desire this divine feminine. Um, they think about this divine feminine a lot, but they've also come, again, they also have come to that conclusion, that agreement to self, where even though this is how I feel about the divine feminine, I need to step back, right? If ever this if ever this divine masculine had an opportunity to wish for something, they could hope for and get, it would be this divine feminine. That's kind of what it's saying there. If they had like one wish, they would wish for this divine feminine that they would be with them. But it's like because of the realizations they've had of the hurt and the pain that they've caused, they're thinking it's better for me to step back. So divine feminines, the moon in reverse. What do we have with the moon in reverse for the divine feminines? Okay, divine feminines. Divine feminine is concentrated on themselves, it seems. I think they look pretty decided too that they're not taking action here. It's like they've also made a decision to not take action. Though, from what I'm seeing here, there's still love that they carry, but they're choosing not to let themselves or let their emotions rule over their actions. So there's a conscious choice here that despite the way they feel, they're making a firm decision to not take action towards it. Okay. So there's a sense of finding balance with what they feel and then the actions that they take. Um, what about the Four of Wands in reverse? Well, and the reason for that, I guess, is because they can see that there wouldn't be any reason or outcome if any kind of action were to be taken. They don't see that there's potential for stability, for commitment with the masculine. And it's kind of like they've already accepted the disappointment, the loss of it. They don't see that there's any point in taking action towards this connection because they can see that in the long run, there wouldn't really be any kind of stability or commitment. So it's like it's like cutting your losses because you can already see that this is the outcome, right? And the outcome is no commitment, no future. What about the Five of Wands in reverse? Five of Wands in reverse. So they have the Ten of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and the Hermit. Yeah. Oddly enough, it is mirroring energy because for the feminine, they're in this energy of what's the point? I can see that it would not be any use to me to take action. All I would be doing is making it more difficult for myself. Not really seeing that there's anything to even understand within the situation, but just to accept what is. So again, kind of aligning in a sense where the masculine and the feminine both feel that there's not really any point to taking action, that there has to be an acceptance of the way that things are. Okay. So I guess the divine masculine, divine feminine are both falling into a sense of acceptance. Um, there seems to be like a settling in energy. And I guess that happens when you do finally accept certain things, decisions, situations, where you kind of just settle into the energy and you're more accepting of it. So that seems to be the energy for the divine feminine. So let's see real world. What is going on for the divine feminine in the real world? Um, well, Archangel Michael card, interesting. Mm, log racing, come together. Okay. Interesting that we have the done completion card. I'm not saying that, there's any kind of completion or doneness here, but in some sense, it feels like there's an understanding, a separate individual understanding of the situation. Um, for the feminine, I can see that they might have felt like they were saved in some way in this situation. There's something about how they recognize the protection that they have in the circumstance, and that might be for those that are new here. The divine masculine and feminine are in a twin flame journey wherein the divine masculine is already committed to someone else and had met the divine feminine. Um, and it is the struggle and acceptance of, you know, real world circumstances that prevent this connection from happening. I can see that the feminine here is kind of thankful that they've been protected, they've been saved from some kind of harm, or potential harm. Not that the harm would come from the masculine, but I think this is more of just the circumstance. It seems like, so this is a feminine that could be checking on social media whether there are certain things that it feels like they're trying to make sure that they are not going to experience some kind of harm online. Um, feels like they are trying to avoid some kind of, I don't know, maybe exposure online. There's something of that nature here. So the thing is, the feminine in their energy as a Queen of Cups still very much, I think, would want to come together with the masculine, just as the masculine would want to come together with the feminine. But those are energies they both carry. However, the actions are what they are. So it's like holding space, holding love for the other, um, despite despite the active conscious choices being made to stay away from each other, it seems. That's kind of how I'm viewing this when it comes to the feminine and their real world energy. Okay, I would like just this, and again, this is going to be a short reading than my usual at least. I would like to go into some guidance um, for both, and we're just going to do the traditional guidance that I have here. Well, the kind of guidance that I usually like to give. Um, let's do guidance for the masculine. Guidance for the masculine. So two cards of guidance for the masculine, along with bottom of the deck. And we're going to get into that after we get the guidance for the feminine. Guidance for the feminine. Okay. So for the masculine, you have the person you're asking about is trustworthy and make a commitment. So it says here, thank you for helping me have faith so I can open my heart wider in my relationships. I'm grateful for your protection, ensuring that only trustworthy people are in my life. Archangel Michael is the angel of courage and confidence. I call upon you to lend me your strength. Allow me to commit to myself, my life, and my divine purpose. Please clearly guide me so I can fully open my heart to every experience. And bottom of the deck is self respect as a last for the masculine. Dear God and angels, thank you for helping me see myself as you see me through the eyes of love. Thank you for honoring and respecting me. Please guide me to do the same for myself and grant me the courage to speak up so on my own behalf I ask for your protection in all of my relationships so that I am surrounded by loving and kind people. I feel I feel like, the strong encouragement for this masculine is if this is the way that they're choosing to do things, to trust that. Also know that, and I feel like it's a strong assurance that between this masculine and feminine, there is a very sturdy layer of trust and protection. Um, I kind of see this as this masculine really, I think, hoping. I think this masculine hopes that the feminine knows that their actions are actually out of respect to them, trying to protect them, trying to make sure they are protected from the circumstance. That's just kind of how it shows here. I think the masculine, it feels like they need to, and it's not because they shouldn't, protect or whatever, give protection towards this feminine, but they need to pull back on their energy somewhat so that they can focus on themselves, the connections in their life, um, focused on how they perceive themselves because they don't seem to see themselves all that well. I feel like there's a guidance here to work on that self-respect because, and it may be true that this masculine feels like they caused, pain and all these things, but as well, it's kind of saying these are things that are already done. These are things that have already happened. And even though their action is of protection towards this feminine, there is a need for them to pull back so they could work on themselves and how they view themselves. So for the feminine, we have right action, divine love, and true offering. It says, let everything that wants to go, go, and everything that wants to come, come. When you offer everything to the divine with detachment, you begin a love affair with spirit, and true offering takes what can be an unbearable cross and returns it to love. Again, kind of the same guidance. It's like the universe is saying, all the love that this feminine carries for this masculine, not to take it away, but to draw that back into self. I think it's also trying to relay protection as well for the feminine here. That in releasing this masculine, divine love will come in the way that it's meant to come in, which is love for self. And that actually embodies the whole point of the twin flame journey, doesn't it? Right there, what I said. So that is just a quick check-in for this week on the twin flames, divine masculine, divine feminines, and I will see you again next time.